When you stand before the mirror, what do you see? You see an image that you accept as yourself. But I tell you now, that image is not the true self. The true self is the awareness that observes the image. And this awareness, this consciousness is God. I am is God. Not a God that exists outside of you, but the God that exists as you. The very consciousness with which you perceive the world is the one creative power in the universe. Now, when something feels impossible to you, it is only because you stand in a state of consciousness where a thing is not yet realized. The feeling of impossibility is nothing more than your current state of consciousness. But consciousness can be shifted, can be changed, can be transformed through the deliberate use of imagination coupled with feeling. The eightfold repetition before the mirror that I suggest to you is not some magical incantation, but a deliberate act of impressing upon your subconscious mind a new concept of self. When you stand before the mirror and repeat 8 times with conviction and feeling, I am that which I desire to be, you are engaging in the most sacred act of creation. You are claiming your divine inheritance as a creative being. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this principle. A young woman came to me in despair. She had tried for years to conceive a child, and the doctors had told her it was physically impossible. She had exhausted every medical treatment available and had resigned herself to a life without the joy of motherhood. I told her about the law of assumption and instructed her to stand before her mirror each night and morning and repeat 8 times, I am a mother. I feel my child in my arms. I hear my child's laughter. I am what I wish to be. At first, she found it difficult to overcome the evidence of her senses, the medical reports, the years of disappointment. But gradually, as she persisted in this practice, something began to change within her. She began to feel different. She began to think differently. She began to see herself differently. And within 6 months, against all medical opinion, she conceived and later birthed to a perfectly healthy child. Was this a miracle? By conventional thinking, yes. But I tell you, it was simply the operation of an eternal law. She changed her concept of self, and the universe rearranged itself to accommodate this new concept. The repetition of 8 times is significant. In many ancient traditions, 8 represents new beginnings, resurrection, and infinity. When you repeat your assumption 8 times, you are symbolically breaking free from the limitations of the past and entering into a cycle of manifestation. You are infinity asserting itself through you. Now, let us delve deeper into the mechanics of this law. The world you experience is nothing more than your consciousness externalized. Every person you meet, every circumstance you encounter, every object you perceive is your consciousness objectified. There is nothing outside of your consciousness. Therefore, to change your world, you must change your consciousness. This is the forbidden knowledge that the masses do not understand. When something feels impossible, it is because you are conscious of its impossibility. You have accepted as final, certain so-called facts of life. But I tell you, there are no facts that cannot be revised. What you now consider a fact was once only a possibility that you or someone else accepted as true. And what is now impossible to you can become a fact through the same process, the process of assumption. To use this forbidden law, when things feel impossible, you must first understand that the feeling of impossibility itself is just that, a feeling. It is not truth. It is not final. It is merely your present state of consciousness. And consciousness can be changed in an instant through the deliberate use of imagination. Stand before your mirror and look deeply into your own eyes. See beyond the physical reflection to the awareness that is looking out through those eyes. That awareness is the God in you. That awareness is the only creative power. Now, with this understanding, repeat 8 times, I am now that which I desire to be. Feel it, know it, accept it as true already. The mirror serves as a powerful tool because it reflects back to you your concept of self. As you speak to your reflection, you are addressing your subconscious mind directly. The subconscious does not reason or argue. It simply accepts what the conscious mind impresses upon it with feeling and repetition. And once accepted by the subconscious, these impressions must objectify themselves in your world. This is law, not opinion. Let me explain why this law seems forbidden. Throughout history, humans have been taught to look outside themselves for power, for salvation, for the fulfillment of their desires. They have been taught that they are separate from God, that they are sinners in need of redemption, that they are victims of circumstance. This teaching serves those who wish to control others. For if you believe your power lies outside yourself, you will always be dependent upon external authorities. But the truth, the forbidden truth, is that you are God in expression. I and my Father one, said the greatest teacher who ever lived. He did not say, I and my Father will be one someday, or I and my Father are almost one. He declared the present reality of this union. And so it is with you, though you may not yet be conscious of it. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand why repeating an affirmation 8 times in the mirror counts. You are not begging some external power to grant your wish. You are awakening to your own divine nature and exercising the power that has been yours from the beginning. The feeling of impossibility is the shadow cast by your current state of consciousness. Just as darkness is not a thing in itself, but the absence of light. Impossibility is not a reality, but the absence of the consciousness of possibility. Turn on the light of a new assumption, and the darkness of impossibility must vanish. Now, some will ask, if this law is so simple and so powerful, why doesn't everyone use it successfully? The answer lies in persistence and faith. Most people dabble in creative imagination without the conviction necessary to impress the subconscious. They affirm with their lips but deny with their hearts. They say, I am wealthy while feeling poor. They declare, I am healthy while feeling sick. Such divided minds cannot create effectively. The secret to successful creation is the attainment of a single-minded consciousness. You must think from the end, as if your desire were already fulfilled. You must live in the consciousness of already being that which you desire to be. And this consciousness must be maintained until it becomes your predominant state. The 8-fold repetition before the mirror helps to establish this new state of consciousness. It serves as a ritual of transformation, a deliberate act of self-persuasion. But the words themselves have no power apart from the feeling they evoke. It is the feeling that creates. The words are merely the vessel that carries the feeling. Let me give you another example from my own experience. Years ago, I desired to travel to Barbados to visit my family, but I lacked the means to do so. Rather than dwelling on my lack, I began a practice of standing before the mirror each night and morning, repeating 8 times, I am in Barbados. I feel the tropical breeze on my skin. I embrace my family with joy. I am in Barbados now. As I did this, I would close my eyes and actually feel myself there. I would imagine the specific scenes I would experience, the familiar streets, the faces of loved ones, the unique scents and sounds of my homeland. I lived from that state of consciousness, not as something to be attained in the future, but as a present reality. Within weeks, through a series of events that I could never have planned nor anticipated, I received free passage to Barbados. Was this coincidence? No, it was law. The law of consciousness expressing itself. I had imagined the end, lived from it mentally, and the means to that end naturally followed. This is the forbidden law that makes the impossible possible. It is forbidden not by any divine decree, but by the limitations of human understanding. The natural man cannot accept that consciousness precedes reality, that the inner creates the outer, that the invisible determines the visible. Yet this is the very foundation of all creation. When you stand before the mirror and repeat your assumption 8 times, you are engaging in a sacred act of creation. You are declaring your independence from external conditions. You are claiming your birthright as a created being. You are exercising the only true freedom you will ever know, the freedom to choose your state of consciousness. But remember, the mirror is only a tool. The real work takes place within your mind and heart. The mirror practice is effective because it combines several powerful elements: reflection, seeing yourself, verbalization, speaking your desire, repetition, impressing the subconscious, and focused attention, the power of concentration. Together, these elements create a potent force for transformation. Now, some may wonder about the phrase, when it feels impossible. If something truly feels impossible to you, how can you sincerely assume that it is already yours? This is where the art of revision comes into play. Revision is the process of reimagining past events in a way that aligns with your desired outcome. If your current sense of impossibility stems from past failures or disappointments, revise those experiences in your imagination. See them not as evidence of limitation, but as stepping stones to your success. Reinterpret them in light of your new understanding. This is not self-deception. It is spiritual wisdom. For the past exists only in memory, and memory can be changed through the deliberate use of imagination. Stand before your mirror and say 8 times, that which seemed to limit me has actually prepared me for my good. My past does not determine my future. I am now free to be what I desire to be. As you do this, feel the truth of these words. Let the feeling of freedom and possibility replace the feeling of impossibility. The number 8, as I mentioned earlier, has special significance. It represents infinity, abundance, and new beginnings. In many cultures, 8 is the number of resurrection, the transcendence of limitations. When you repeat your assumption 8 times, you are symbolically entering into this consciousness of infinite possibility. But why the mirror? The mirror provides immediate feedback. It shows you yourself, not just your physical appearance, but your state of consciousness reflected in your eyes, your posture, your expression. As you speak your assumption and look into your own eyes, you are confronting your concept of self directly. You are saying, in effect, this is who I truly am, regardless of appearances. The power of this practice lies not in the words themselves, but in the shift of consciousness they facilitate. The words are like keys that unlock new states of being. When you declare, I am now that which I desire to be, and feel the truth of this declaration, you are literally shifting your consciousness from one state to another. And since consciousness is the only reality, this shift must be expressed in your outer world. This is the forbidden law that few understand and even fewer consistently apply. It is forbidden because it places the responsibility for creation squarely upon your shoulders. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or even God for your condition. You must recognize that your consciousness is the cause of all that appears in your world. When something feels impossible, it is because you are conscious of its impossibility. Change that consciousness through the deliberate use of imagination, and you change the outcome. This is not positive thinking or wishful dreaming. This is the fundamental law of creation operating through human consciousness. The biblical statement, let there be light, is not a historical event that occurred once in the distant past. It is the perpetual creative process taking place within human consciousness at every moment. Your assumptions imbued with feeling are your let there be, and your experiences are the and there was that inevitably follow. The eightfold repetition is a practical application of this principle. It is a way of impressing upon your subconscious mind a new concept of self with sufficient intensity to bring about a change in consciousness. And a change in consciousness must result in a change in manifestation. Let me tell you of another case that demonstrates this principle. A man came to me who had struggled with poverty all his life. He believed that wealth was for others, not for him. He had tried various means of improving his financial situation, but always with the underlying assertiveness fighting an uphill battle. I instructed him in the use of the mirror technique. 8 times each morning and each night, he was to look into his own eyes and declare with feeling, I am now expressing financial abundance. I am now worthy and capable of receiving unlimited supply. Money flows to me easily and continuously. At first he felt foolish, even dishonest, making these statements that so contrary to his experience. But I explained to him that his current experience was merely the harvest of his previous assumptions, and that new assumptions persisted in would inevitably produce new experiences. Gradually, he began to feel a change within himself. The declaration became less mechanical and more natural. He began to think differently about money. Opportunities that had always been present but unnoticed now became apparent to him. Within 6 months, his income had tripled, and more importantly, his entire relationship with money had transformed. Was this man special? Did he possess some unique talent or advantage? No, he simply applied the forgotten law that I am sharing with you tonight. He changed his consciousness, and his world changed accordingly. This is available to all of you. When something feels impossible, when the evidence of your senses denies the fulfillment of your desire, stand before your mirror and repeat 8 times with feeling and conviction, I am now that which I desire to be. Feel the reality of it. Accept it as true already. Live from that state of consciousness and watch as the so-called impossible becomes your living experience. The mirror technique is particularly effective because it engages multiple senses and faculties. You see your reflection, you hear your voice, you feel the emotions associated with your declaration. This multisensory engagement helps to impress the new concept more deeply upon the subconscious mind. But remember, the mirror is just a tool. The real transformation takes within your consciousness. The mirror practice is a means to an end, not the end itself. The end is the changed concept of self, the new state of consciousness from which you now view the world. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that there are no limits to what you can be, do, or have. The only limit is your consciousness, your concept of self. Change that, and you change everything. Now, some may ask, what about the will of God? What if my desire conflicts with divine intention? To this, I would say that your desires are God's desires. The awareness within you that says, I am is God. When you truly desire something, it is God in your desiring expression. God's will is not separate from your deepest, truest desires. The feeling of impossibility comes when you perceive yourself as separate from the source of all things. But in truth, there is no separation. The kingdom of God is within you, said the great teacher. All power, all possibility, all fulfillment exists within your own consciousness. When you stand before the mirror and repeat your assumption 8 times, you are aligning your individual consciousness with the infinite consciousness that is God. You are claiming your divine inheritance. You are acknowledging the truth of your being. This practice is not about forcing or manipulating external reality. It is about awakening to the reality of who you truly are. As you awaken to your true nature as a creative being, the conditions of your life naturally adjust to reflect this awakened state. The feeling of impossibility is always based on past experience, on what has been. But creation is not concerned with what has been. It is concerned only with what is now being assumed. When you assume a new state of consciousness, you are literally disconnecting from the past and establishing a new causal sequence. The practice of repeating your assumption 8 times before the mirror helps to break the hypnotic spell of past experience. It is a declaration of independence from what has been and a commitment to what now is in consciousness. And what now is in consciousness must objectify itself in experience. Let me share another example of my own experience. Many years ago, I desired to become a successful speaker and teacher of these principles. At the time, I had no platform, no audience, no formal education in these matters. By conventional standards, my desire seemed impossible. But rather than accepting these limitations, I began to assume the state of being a successful teacher. Each night and morning, I would stand before my mirror and declare 8 times, I am now a successful teacher of the law. I am now reaching thousands with this message. I am now expressing with clarity and power. As I did this, I would feel the satisfaction of speaking to attentive audiences. I would imagine specific scenes, people approaching me after a talk to express gratitude, letters arriving from those whose lives had been transformed by these principles. I lived in this state mentally until it became natural to me. And then, through a series of events that seemed coincidental, but were in fact the operation of law, opportunities began to present themselves. I was invited to speak at small gatherings, then larger ones. People began to seek me out for counsel. Books and recordings of my talks began to circulate. What had seemed impossible became my living reality. Was this because I was special, favored? No, it was simply the operation of the law that I am sharing with you tonight. I changed my consciousness, and my world changed to reflect that new consciousness. This same power is available to each of you. Whatever may seem impossible to you now, whether it be financial abundance, physical healing, a harmonious relationship, or professional success, can become your reality through the proper use of this law. The key is to persist in your new assumption until it feels more real to you than the evidence of your senses. The eightfold repetition before the mirror is a powerful aid in this process, but it is not the only way. Throughout your day, in every moment of choice, remind yourself of who you have chosen to be. Think from that state, feel from that state, act from that state. The feeling of impossibility will gradually fade as your new assumption takes root in consciousness. What once seemed like pretense will begin to feel natural. The effort required to maintain your assumption will diminish. Eventually, you will find yourself living spontaneously from your new state without conscious effort. This is the mark of successful creation, when your assumption has become your natural state of being. At this point, the manifestation of your desire is inevitable. It cannot be otherwise, for the outer must always conform to the inner. Experience must always reflect consciousness. The forbidden law that I am sharing with you tonight is not new. It has been taught in various forms by all the great spiritual teachers throughout history. What is new, perhaps, is the practical application of this law through the mirror technique. This technique provides a structured way to impress your new assumption upon the subconscious mind with sufficient intensity to bring about transformation. When something feels impossible, remember that the feeling itself is just that, a feeling, a state of consciousness. It is not truth. It is not final. It is merely your present perception based on past experience. And perception can be changed through the deliberate use of imagination. Stand before your mirror and look deeply into your own eyes. See beyond the physical reflection to the awareness that is looking out through those eyes. That awareness is God in expression. That awareness is the only creative power in the universe. Now, with this understanding, repeat 8 times. I am now that which I desire to be. Feel it. Know it. Accept it as true already. The world you experience is nothing more than your consciousness objectified. Therefore, to change your world, you must change your consciousness. This is the forgotten truth, the forbidden knowledge that puts you in direct touch with your creative power. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand why nothing is impossible to you. For if consciousness is the only reality, and you can change your consciousness, then you can change your reality. It is as simple and as profound as that. The practice of standing before the mirror and repeating your assumption 8 times is a powerful tool for changing consciousness. But remember, the words themselves have no power apart from the feeling they evoke. It is the feeling that creates. The words are merely the vessel that carries the feeling. As you engage in this practice, strive to feel the reality of your assumption. See yourself as already being what you desire to be. Feel the satisfaction, the joy, the gratitude that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. This feeling is the creative power that transforms the invisible into the visible. The number 8 represents infinity, the transcendence of limitations. When you repeat your assumption 8 times, you are symbolically breaking free from the constraints of the past and entering into the unlimited possibilities of pure consciousness. You are declaring your independence from what has been and claiming your freedom to create what will be. The mirror serves as a powerful tool because it reflects back to you your concept of self. As you speak to your reflection, you are addressing your subconscious mind directly. The subconscious does not reason or argue. It simply accepts what the conscious mind impresses upon it with feeling and repetition. And once accepted by the subconscious, these impressions must objectify themselves in your world. This is the law, not my opinion or theory. It has been tested and proven by countless individuals throughout history. Those who have discovered this law and applied it consistently have transformed their lives in ways that seem miraculous to the uninitiated. But there are no miracles in the conventional sense, only the natural operation of universal law through human consciousness. When something feels impossible to you, it is because you are conscious of its impossibility. Change that consciousness through the deliberate 8-fold repetition of a new assumption, and you change the outcome. This is not positive thinking or wishful dreaming. This is the fundamental law of creation operating through you. The biblical statement, all things are possible to him that believeth, is not a religious platitude. It is a statement of law. Belief is simply consciousness, the acceptance of something as true. When you truly believe, not with your intellect alone, but with your whole being, you are exercising the creative power that is your divine inheritance. The 8-fold repetition before the mirror helps to establish this new belief, this new consciousness. It serves as a ritual of transformation, a deliberate act of self-persuasion. But the words themselves have no power apart from the feeling they evoke. It is the feeling that creates. The words are merely the vehicle that carries the feeling. So when you stand before your mirror and repeat your assumption 8 times, put all of your emotion, all of your conviction, all of your being into it. Make it more than words. Make it a declaration of who you truly are. Feel the reality of it. Accept it as true already. Live from that state of consciousness and watch as the so-called impossible becomes your living experience. This is the forbidden law that makes the impossible possible. It is forbidden not by any divine decree, but by the limitations of human understanding. The natural man cannot accept that consciousness precedes reality, that the inner creates the outer, that the invisible determines the visible. Yet this is the very foundation of all creation. When you understand this principle and apply it consistently, you will discover that there are no limits to what you can be, do, or have. The only limit is your consciousness, your concept of self. Change that, and you change everything. Tonight, I have shared with you the most practical and potent law that governs all creation, the law of assumption. I have given you a specific technique, the 8-fold repetition before the mirror, as a means of applying this law when something feels impossible. Now it is up to you to test this law in your own experience. Do not take my word for it, prove it to yourself. Stand before your mirror and repeat 8 times with feeling and conviction, I am now that which I desire to be. Do this consistently morning and night, until your new assumption becomes your predominant state of consciousness. Then observe how your outer world begins to rearrange itself to reflect this new consciousness. Opportunities will appear that were not visible before. Resources will become available that seemed beyond reach. Circumstances will combine in ways that you could never have planned or anticipated. And what once seemed impossible will become your living reality. This is the promise and the power of the forbidden law. Use it wisely, use it consistently, and discover for yourself that nothing is impossible to you when you understand and apply the law of consciousness. For consciousness is the only reality, and you are that consciousness in expression. Tonight, as you leave this place, take with you this one truth. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the creator of circumstances. Your consciousness is the cause, your experience is the effect. Change the cause, and you change the effect. Stand before your mirror and declare 8 times, I am the power that creates my experience. I am now that which I desire to be. Feel it, believe it from it, and it must be so. Remember, the feeling of impossibility is not the truth of your being. It is merely a temporary state of consciousness that can be changed through the deliberate use of imagination coupled with feeling. The 8-fold repetition before the mirror is a powerful tool for effecting this change. Use it when things feel impossible and discover the forbidden law that makes all things possible to you. The practice I have shared with you tonight is not just a technique, it is a way of life. It is a recognition of your true nature as a creative being. It is an acknowledgement of the inseparable unity between your consciousness and the creative power of the universe. When you truly grasp this, you will understand why nothing is impossible to you. For in truth, you are not separated from the source of all things. You are that source in individual expression. The awareness within you that says, I am, is God. And God's power is your power. God's abundance is your abundance. God's love is your love. God's wisdom is your wisdom. The feeling of impossibility comes when you perceive yourself as separate from this source. But in truth, there is no separation. I and my Father are one, said the great teacher. This was not a special relationship available only to him. It is the eternal truth of all being. You and the Father, and you and the creative power of the universe are one. When you stand before the mirror and repeat your assumption 8 times, you are acknowledging this unity. You are claiming your divine inheritance. You are exercising the only true freedom you will ever know, the freedom to choose your state of consciousness. This is the forbidden law that makes the impossible possible. Use it, test it, prove it in your own experience. For in the end, experience is the only true teacher. No amount of theory can convince you of this truth. You must live it to know it. And so I say to you tonight, when something feels impossible, stand before your mirror and repeat 8 times with feeling and conviction, I am now that which I desire to be. Do this not as a mechanical exercise, but as a sacred act of creation. Feel the reality of your assumption. Live from that state of consciousness and watch as your world transforms before your eyes. For this is the law and the promise, as within, so without. As above, so below. As in consciousness, so in manifestation. This is the eternal truth that sets you free from all limitation, from all impossibility. This is the forbidden law that is now revealed to you as your own divine inheritance. Tonight I shall share with you the most profound secret of creation, how to speak blessings upon yourself and instantly transform your entire world. So you see, when you truly understand how to bless yourself, you are engaging in the highest form of creation. For you are doing what God does continuously. Consider the first chapter of Genesis, where God speaks blessings upon his creation. Notice how he didn't ask anyone else to bless his work. He blessed it himself. This is the pattern you must follow, for you are that same creative power individualized as you. Let me share with you why blessing yourself is the most powerful act you can perform. First, you must understand that when you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are not engaging in mere positive thinking or affirmations. You are exercising your divine creative power, for you are God individualized as you. Many of you come to me seeking blessings from others, from teachers, from gurus, from religious leaders. But I tell you now, no one can bless you more powerfully than you can bless yourself. For you are the operant power in your world, and your word is the creative power of God in action. When you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are doing what God did in the beginning. Remember the words, and God blessed them. He didn't wait for someone else to bless his creation. He blessed it himself. And you, being made in his image and likeness, must do the same. Let me share with you the proper way to speak blessings upon yourself. First, you must understand that when you say, I bless myself, you are not speaking as a mortal being. You are speaking as God individualized. For your I am is God. And when you speak blessings from your I am, you are speaking with all the power of creation. Consider this: every time you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are literally recreating your world. For your word is God's word, and God's word cannot return void. It must accomplish that which it is sent to do. But then this is crucial: your blessings must be spoken with understanding and feeling. You cannot merely repeat words mechanically and expect results. You must feel the truth of the blessing as you speak it. For feeling is the secret. And without feeling, words are empty. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When Isaac blessed Jacob, he felt the blessing as he spoke it. He wasn't just saying words, he was feeling the reality of what he was declaring. And this is exactly how you must speak blessings upon yourself. Many of you might be thinking, but Neville, isn't it selfish to bless myself? Let me tell you something, it is the most unselfish thing you can do. For when you bless yourself, truly understanding that you are God individualized, you are blessing all of creation. For there is no other. What you see as others is yourself pushed out. Let me share with you how to properly structure your self-blessings. Begin with your I am. For this is the name of God. Then speak your blessing with absolute conviction. For example, I am blessed with perfect health. I am blessed with unlimited abundance. I am blessed with divine wisdom. But remember, these are not mere affirmations. They are acknowledgments of what is already true in consciousness. For when you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are not trying to make something true. You are acknowledging what is already true in the spiritual realm. Consider this principle I have tested and proven countless times. When you bless yourself, you are performing the highest act of creation. For in blessing yourself, you are acknowledging your divine nature, and what you acknowledge must manifest in your experience. Let me share with you the 3 aspects of effective self-blessing. First, there is recognition. When you bless yourself, you must recognize that you speak as God individualized. not as a mortal being hoping for good, but as the divine creator declaring what is. Second, there is feeling. Your blessings must be accompanied by the feeling of their fulfillment. When you say, I am blessed with perfect health, you must feel the vitality, the strength, the well-being that this blessing implies. For feeling is the secret of creation. Third, there is acceptance. You must accept that your blessing is already fulfilled in consciousness. Not that it will be, not that it might be, but that it is. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you accept in consciousness must externalize itself in your world. Many of you make the mistake of blessing yourself while looking at your current circumstances. But I tell you now, circumstances have no power over your blessings unless you give them that power. Your blessings create circumstances, not the other way around. Let me share with you a profound truth about self-blessing that most of the world has missed. When you bless yourself, you are not asking for something to be given to you. You are acknowledging what is already yours by divine right. For all blessings already exist in consciousness, waiting to be acknowledged and claimed. Consider the words of Scripture before they call. I will answer. This means that every blessing you could ever speak upon yourself already exists in consciousness. Your speaking of the blessing is not creating it. It is acknowledging and claiming what already is. Let me share with you how to maintain the consciousness of your self-blessings throughout your day. Most people speak a blessing and then return to their old patterns of thought. But I tell you now, your blessing must become your constant inner conversation. I think about this carefully. Every time you speak a blessing upon yourself, you are literally rearranging the entire spiritual substance of your universe. For your consciousness is God, and what God blesses must manifest. Let me give you some specific blessings that I have found particularly powerful. First, I am blessed with perfect understanding of my own divine nature. This blessing opens the door to all other blessings, for when you truly understand your divine nature, all things become possible. Second, I am blessed with the constant awareness of my creative power. This blessing keeps you mindful of your true identity as God individualized. For you see, most people forget their divine nature and slip back into mortal thinking. Third, I am blessed with the ability to see past appearances to the truth of being. This blessing helps you maintain your focus on the reality of consciousness rather than the shadows of circumstances. Consider how these blessings work together. Each one strengthens the others, creating a powerful foundation for all your other blessings. For when you truly understand your divine nature, are aware of your creative power, and can see past appearances, you become a master of conscious creation. Many of you may be wondering how often to speak these blessings. Let me tell you something. It's not about frequency, it's about consciousness. One blessing spoken with complete understanding and feeling is worth more than 1,000 spoken mechanically. Let me share with you another principle about self-blessing that most people miss. When you bless yourself, you are not speaking to yourself as a mortal being, you are speaking as God to his creation. For you are both the blesser and the blessed, the creator and the creation. Think about this carefully. When God said, let there be light, he didn't doubt whether it was possible. He didn't wonder about the process. He simply declared it and knew it was done. This is exactly how you must speak your blessings upon yourself. Consider the power in this understanding. When you say, I am blessed, you are speaking with the same authority that created the universe. For your I am is the same I am that spoke all things into being. Let me share with you how to handle doubts when they arise after speaking your blessings, and they will arise. Many of you speak a blessing upon yourself and then immediately begin to question whether it will work. But I tell you now, doubt is simply your former consciousness trying to maintain its position. Consider what happens in nature when you plant a seed. The seed doesn't doubt whether it will become what it is meant to be. It simply begins its transformation according to its nature. Your blessings work the same way. They are spiritual seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. Let me give you a deeper understanding of how this works. When you say, I am blessed with perfect health, for example, you have planted a seed in consciousness. Now, just as a physical seed needs time to sprout and grow, your blessing needs time to externalize itself in your world. And this is crucial, while the outer manifestation may take change, and change in consciousness is immediate when the blessing is properly spoken. For you see, the moment you speak a blessing with understanding and feeling, you have altered the entire spiritual substance of your universe. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, I've spoken blessings before and nothing changed. Let me tell you something my teacher Abdullah taught me. Nothing changes because you spoke the words. Things change because you became what you declare. Let me share with you another principle about self-blessing that most of the world has missed. When you bless yourself, you are not trying to influence God to give you something. You are exercising your divine power as God individualized, for your consciousness is God and your word is His word. Consider the story of the prodigal son. Notice how the father didn't wait for someone else to bless his returning son. He blessed him himself. This is exactly what you must do. You must be both the father giving the blessing and the son receiving it. This brings me to a deeper truth about self-blessing. When you say, I am blessed, you are acknowledging both your divine nature, I am, and your human experience, blessed. You are bringing heaven and earth together in your consciousness. Let me share with you what I call the 7 pillars of self-blessing. These are the foundational principles that must be understood if your blessings are to have their full creative power. The first pillar is recognition. You must recognize that you are the one who blesses. Not your personality, not your mortal self, but your I am. For when you say I am blessed, you are speaking as God individualized, not as a mortal being seeking favors. The second pillar is authority. When you bless yourself, you must speak with complete authority. Consider how God speaks in Scripture, not with doubt, not with hesitation, but with absolute authority. Let there be light. These are words of complete authority. The third pillar is feeling. Your blessings must be accompanied by the feeling of fulfillment. Not the feeling of wanting to be blessed, but the feeling of being blessed. For feeling is the secret, and without the proper feeling, your words lack power. The fourth pillar is present tense. Notice how God never said there will be light. He said, let there be light. Your blessings must be spoken in the present tense, for consciousness knows only now. The fifth pillar is persistence. Not the persistence of mechanical repetition, but the persistence of maintaining the consciousness of being blessed, for your blessing must become your dominant state of consciousness. The sixth pillar is understanding. You must understand that your blessing is not creating something new. It is acknowledging what already exists in consciousness. For all blessings already exist in the spiritual realm, waiting to be claimed. And the seventh pillar is gratitude. When you bless yourself, you must feel grateful not for what will come, but for what already is. For gratitude is the evidence of faith, and faith is the substance of things hoped for. Let me share with you how these 7 pillars work together. When you recognize your true identity as God individualized, speak with divine authority, feel the reality of your blessing, maintain present tense awareness, persist in the consciousness, understand the principle, and feel genuine gratitude, your blessing must manifest. Consider how this differs from what most people do. Most people speak blessings from their mortal consciousness, with doubt in their voice, feeling the lack rather than the fulfillment, thinking of future fulfillment, giving up at the first sign of delay, lacking understanding of the principle, and feeling no gratitude until they see results. Let me share with you what I call the 3 stages of self-blessing manifestation. Most people don't understand these stages, and that's why they often give up before their blessings manifest. The first stage is spiritual. This happens instantly when you speak your blessing with understanding and feeling. In this stage, you have literally rearranged the spiritual substance of your universe. This is the most crucial stage, for it is the only stage where real creation takes place. The second stage is mental. This is where your mind begins to align with your blessing. You start to think differently, see opportunities differently, and respond to life differently. Many people mistake this for mere positive thinking, but I tell you now, it is far more than that. It is your consciousness reorganizing itself according to your blessing. The third stage is physical. This is where your outer world begins to reflect your blessing. Now, here's what's fascinating about these stages. They must occur in this order. You cannot skip the spiritual stage and go straight to the physical. You cannot bypass the mental stage and expect outer results. Consider the words of Scripture, first the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. This is describing these three stages. The blade is the spiritual acceptance. The ear is the mental alignment. And the full corn is the physical manifestation. Let me share with you how to recognize when you're in each stage. In the spiritual stage, you feel an inner knowing, a deep peace about your blessing. There might be no outer evidence yet, but you know it is done. In the mental stage, you begin to think thoughts that align with your blessing naturally, without effort. If you've blessed yourself with abundance, for example, you naturally begin to think abundant thoughts. If you've blessed yourself with health, you naturally begin to think healthy thoughts. In the physical stage, your outer world begins to rearrange itself to match your blessing. And this is crucial. By the time you reach this stage, you're no longer anxious about it. For you see, you've already experienced the reality of reality in consciousness. Let me give you a deeper understanding of how these stages work together. When you say, I am blessed with perfect health, you instantly create this reality in the spiritual realm. This is stage one. Then your mind begins to align with this new reality. You begin to think like a healthy person, act like a healthy person, make decisions like a healthy person. This is stage two. Finally, your body and circumstances begin to reflect this new reality. But by this time, you're no longer desperate to happen because you've been living in the carpently conscious, both perfect teachers 1 and 2. Many of you make the mistake of looking for physical evidence before you've allowed the spiritual and mental stages to complete their work. But I tell you now, this is like digging up a seed to see if it's growing. You must allow each stage to unfold in its perfect timing. Let me share with you what I call the 4 states of consciousness in self-blessing. Understanding these states is crucial, for your blessing will manifest according to the state from which you speak it. The first state is the state of desire. This is where most people begin. They speak blessings from a consciousness of wanting, of needing, of lacking. But I tell you now, this state cannot produce results, for it perpetuates the very lack it seeks to overcome. The second state is the state of hope. This is better than desire, but still not powerful enough. When you speak blessings from hope, you are acknowledging that fulfillment is possible, but you haven't yet accepted it as fact in consciousness. The third state is the state of faith. Now we're moving into creative power. When you speak blessings from faith, you are speaking with conviction, with certainty, with knowing. But there's an even higher state. The fourth state is the state of knowing. This is the highest state, the state from which God creates. When you speak blessings from this state, you are speaking as God individualized, knowing that what you declare must manifest. Consider how these states progress. In the state of desire, you say, I want to be blessed. In the state of hope, you say, I might be blessed. In the state of faith, you say, I will be blessed. But in the state of knowing, you simply say, I am blessed. Let me share with you how to move from one state to another. The movement from desire to hope happens naturally as you study and understand the law. The movement from hope to faith happens through testing the law and seeing results. But the movement from faith to knowing, this is the crucial transition. The state of knowing comes when you fully realize your own divine nature. When you understand that you are God individualized, that your consciousness is the only reality, that your word is God's word, then you naturally speak blessings from the state of knowing. Many of you may be wondering how to achieve this state of knowing. Let me tell you something, it's not achieved, it's recognized. It's not something you become, it's something you already are. Your task is to remove the veils that hide this truth from your awareness. Let me share with you what I call the 5 proofs of effective self-blessing. These are the signs that tell you your blessing is taking root in consciousness and must therefore manifest in your world. The first proof is peace. When you've spoken of blessing effectively, you feel a deep peace about it. Not the peace of resignation, but the peace of knowing. For you see, when you truly know something is done in consciousness, all anxiety about it disappears. The second proof is naturalness. Your blessing begins to feel natural to you. You no longer have to convince yourself of it. It becomes as natural as breathing, as natural as your own name. The third proof is indifference to appearances. You find yourself unmoved by contradictory circumstances, not because you're practicing positive thinking, but because you know the reality exists in consciousness, not in appearance. The fourth proof is change inner conversation. Your habitual thoughts and internal dialogue naturally align with your blessing. You don't have to force it. It happens spontaneously because consciousness always produces thoughts that match its state. The fifth proof is inspired action. You find yourself naturally taking actions that align with your blessing, not from effort or planning, but from an inner prompting that feels completely natural. Remember, dear friends, that speaking blessings upon yourself is not an act of egotism. It is an acknowledgement of your divine nature. For you are God individualized, and your word has all the creative power of the universe behind it when spoken from that understanding. Let the truth of this sink deep into your consciousness. You are blessed, not because someone else blessed you, but because you have recognized and claimed your divine inherent through the power of self-blessing. That's the message I want to leave with you tonight. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's true. Not because it's what you expected to hear, but because it's what you needed to hear. Remember, your blessings create your reality when spoken from the consciousness of who you really are. And isn't that worth thinking about? Let us begin by understanding what it truly means to choose. In the world of appearances, we often believe that choice is an external act, a decision made in response to the circumstances that surround us. We think we choose our careers, our partners, our homes, and our experiences based on what is available to us in the physical realm. But I tell you now with absolute certainty that this is a fallacy, a misunderstanding that has kept humanity bound to limitation and want for far too long. True choice, my dear friends, originates not from the world without, but from the world within. It is an expression of your innermost being, a reflection of your consciousness, and a manifestation of your imagination. When you truly choose something, it is because that something has already chosen you. It has already become a part of your consciousness, a living, breathing reality in the realm of your imagination. And it is from this realm, this invisible but all-powerful dimension of mind, that all things in your visible world spring forth. Consider for a moment the things in your life that you have been striving for, struggling to attain, or desperately trying to change. Perhaps it's a job that seems always out of reach, a relationship that never quite manifests, or a state of being, be it wealth, health, or happiness that appears to elude you at every turn. Now, I ask you this, are these things truly choosing you? Or are you in your limited human thinking, attempting to force them into existence through sheer will and effort? You see, my friends, when something truly chooses you, there is no struggle, there is no strain. There is only a natural, effortless unfolding of events that lead you inevitably to your desire fulfilled. It is as natural and as certain as a seed growing into a mighty oak tree. The oak does not strain to become, it simply allows the power within it to express itself fully. And so it must be with you. Your desires, your true choices are seeds planted in the fertile soil of your imagination. But for these seeds to grow and bear fruit in your physical reality, you must stop choosing what's not choosing you. You must cease the futile struggle against what is, and instead turn your attention fully and completely to what could be, to what, in truth, already is in the realm of imagination. Let me illustrate this principle with a simple example. Imagine a young man who desperately wants to be a great musician. He practices for hours each day, striving with all his might to improve his skills. He auditions for orchestras and bands, facing rejection after rejection. He tells himself and others that he has chosen music as his path. But in truth, he is choosing struggle, choosing rejection, choosing the very state of wanting to be rather than being a great musician. Now contrast this with another young man. This one, too, loves music. But instead of focusing on the lack, on the journey, on the process of becoming, he simply knows that he is a great musician. In his imagination, he sees himself performing to thunderous applause. He feels the joy of creating beautiful melodies. He experiences the satisfaction of touching people's hearts through his music. This second young man is not choosing music. Music is choosing him. It has become so much a part of his consciousness that its manifestation in the physical world is a foregone conclusion. He does not struggle. He does not strive. He simply is. And in that state of being, all that he desires naturally flows to him. This, my dear friends, is the essence of what I mean when I say stop choosing what's not choosing you. It is a call to cease the endless struggle against what is not, and to instead embrace fully what is in the reality of your imagination. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, surely we must take action in the world. Surely we must work towards our goals. And to this I say, yes, action is indeed part of the process of manifestation. But it is not action born of struggle or strain. It is inspired action, action that flows naturally from your state of being. When you truly embody the state of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end, as I often say, the right actions will present themselves to you effortlessly. You will find yourself naturally drawn to the people, circumstances, and opportunities that align with your desire. This is the universe, or God, if you prefer, choosing you, guiding you, shaping your path in accordance with the image you hold in your imagination. Let us delve deeper into this concept, for it is crucial to your understanding and to the transformation of your life. When you choose what's not choosing you, you are essentially saying to the universe, I do not have this thing I desire. I am separate from it, and I must struggle to attain it. And the universe, being the faithful servant that it is, responds by maintaining that very state of separation and separation. But when you choose what's choosing you, or rather, when you recognize and accept what has already chosen you in the realm of imagination, you are declaring to the universe, I am one with my desire. It is already mine. I am already the person who has, does, or is this thing I wish to experience. And the universe, again being the faithful servant, begins to rearrange itself to make your inner reality an artifact. This, my friends, is the true power of imagination. It is not mere fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the very substance of reality, the creative power of the universe itself, individualizing you. When you imagine, you are not creating something new, you are selecting from the infinite possibilities that already exist in the mind of God. Consider the words of William Blake, the great poet and mystic. What is now proved was once only imagined. Everything in your world, from the chair you sit on to the most advanced technology, was once only a thought, an idea, a seed in someone's imagination. And so it is with your desires, your goals, your ideal life. They already exist in the realm of infinite possibilities. Your task is not to create them, but to select them, to tune your consciousness to their frequency, to become one with them in the depths of your being. But how, you may ask, do we accomplish this? How do we stop choosing what's not choosing us and start aligning with what is? The answer, my dear friends, lies in the power of your attention and the practice of what I call the law of assumption. Your attention is the instrument by which you tune your consciousness. Whatever you focus on, whatever you give your attention to, grows in your experience. If you constantly focus on what you lack, on the obstacles in your path, on the difficulties you face, you are choosing those very things. You are tuning your consciousness to the frequency of lack, obstacle, and difficulty. But if you direct your attention to the state of your wish fulfilled, if you dwell in the feeling of already being, doing, or having what you desire, you align yourself with that reality. You tune your consciousness to the frequency of abundance, success, and fulfillment. This is where the law of assumption comes into play. To assume means to take for granted. It means to live from the conviction that what you desire is already yours. It is not hoping, it is not wishing, it is not even believing in the conventional sense. It is knowing with every fiber of your being that you are already the person you wish to be, that you already have what you wish to possess, that you are already experiencing what you wish to experience. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Suppose you desire financial abundance. The conventional approach would be to focus on your current lack of money, to worry about bills, to constantly think about how to make more money. This is choosing what's not choosing you. It's aligning yourself with the very state of financial struggle you wish to escape. Instead, I urge you to assume the state of financial abundance. Feel the relief, the security, the freedom that comes with having more than enough money. See yourself living in the home you desire, driving the car you love, enjoying the experiences that financial abundance allows. Feel the gratitude for this abundance as if it were already yours. Do this not once, not twice, but consistently. Make it your dwelling place. Let it be the last thing you think of as you fall asleep at night and the first thing you embrace as you wake in the morning. Live from this state and watch as the outer world begins to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. This, my friends, is what it means to choose what's choosing you. It is to align yourself with the version of reality where your desires are already fulfilled. It is to step into the skin of the person you wish to be and to live from that state consistently. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. Isn't this just pretending? And to this, I say all of life is pretending until it becomes real. The great William Shakespeare wrote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." You are always playing a role, always pretending to be someone. Why not consciously choose to play the role of the person you truly wish to be? Moreover, this is not deception, for in the realm of imagination, which is the true substance of reality, your desire already exists. You are simply aligning yourself with what is already true on a higher plane of existence. Remember, my dear friends, that your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world. It is a shadow cast by the light of your consciousness. Change the inner, and the outer must follow suit. This is not magic, it is not supernatural. It is the most natural thing in the world, as natural as a flower turning towards the sun. But I warn you, this practice requires persistence and patience. The world of appearances may not change overnight. Your current circumstances are the result of your past thoughts and assumptions. They have a certain momentum, a certain inertia. But as you consistently hold to your new assumption, as you faithfully choose what's choosing you, you will begin to see changes. At first, these changes may be small. Perhaps an unexpected opportunity arises, or you have a fortuitous encounter with someone who can help you on your path. These are signs that the universe is beginning to respond to your new vibration, your new state of being. Do not dismiss these signs, no matter how small they may seem. Recognize them for what they are: confirmation that your inner transformation is bearing fruit in the outer world. As you persist in your new state, as you continue to choose what's choosing you, these changes will grow more significant. You will find yourself naturally taking actions that align with your desire. Opportunities will seem to fall into your lap. People will be drawn to you, eager to assist you in ways you never imagined possible. This, my friends, is the universe conspiring in your favor. It is the natural result of aligning yourself with what truly chooses you, with what is already yours in the realm of infinite possibilities. But let me caution you, this practice requires a certain detachment from the world of appearances. You must learn to trust the invisible reality of your imagination more than the visible reality of your current circumstances. This can be challenging, especially when the evidence of your senses seems to contradict your inner knowing. In such moments, remember the words of the Apostle Paul: "We walk by faith, not by sight." Your faith must be in the reality of your imagination, in the truth of your assumption. This faith is not blind belief, but a deep knowing that transcends physical evidence. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates this principle. Many years ago, when I first began to understand these truths, I found myself in dire financial straits. I had barely enough money to feed myself, let alone pay my rent. The logical, rational part of my mind was consumed with worry and fear. But I decided to put these principles to the test. Instead of dwelling on my lack, I began to assume the state of financial abundance. I imagined myself living in a beautiful apartment, eating at fine restaurants, buying new clothes. I felt the relief of having more than enough money. I experienced the joy of being able to help others financially. I held to this state consistently, even as my outer circumstances seemed to contradict it at every turn. And then, my friends, the most remarkable thing happened. Within a matter of weeks, I received an unexpected sum of money that not only covered my immediate needs, but allowed me to live comfortably for months. This experience taught me a profound lesson: the outer world must conform to the inner conviction. When you truly choose what's choosing you, when you align yourself fully with the state of your wish fulfilled, the universe has no choice but to reflect that state back to you. Now, I want to address a common misconception that often arises when people first encounter these ideas. Some may think that this teaching encourages passivity, that it suggests we should simply sit back and wait for our desires to manifest. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you truly choose what's choosing you, when you fully embody the state of your wish fulfilled, you will be moved to inspired action. This action will not feel like work or struggle. It will feel natural, joyful, almost effortless. You will find yourself doing things that align with your desire, not out of desperation or fear, but out of a sense of enthusiasm and inevitability. Consider the example of a great actor preparing for a role. They don't simply memorize their lines and wait for the cameras to roll. They immerse themselves in the character, thinking, feeling, and even moving as the character would. When it comes time to perform, their actions flow naturally from this assumed state of being. So it must be with you. As you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, as you choose what's choosing you, you will naturally be moved to take actions that align with that state. But these actions will not feel like a struggle against reality. They will feel like a joyful participation in the unfolding of your desire. Let us now turn our attention to another crucial aspect of this teaching: the importance of feeling. It is not enough to merely think about your desire or to visualize it in a detached manner. You must feel it. You must experience the emotion that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Feeling, my dear friends, is the secret. It is the bridge between your current state and the state you wish to embody. When you can generate and sustain the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you create a vibrational match with that desired state. And it is this vibrational match that draws your desire into your physical experience. Think for a moment about something you deeply desire. Now, instead of focusing on the absence of this thing in your life, imagine that you already have it. How does it feel? Do you feel joy, relief, excitement, gratitude? Whatever the feeling is, allow yourself to fully experience it. Let it permeate every cell of your body. This feeling is your point of power. It is the language that the universe understands. When you consistently generate this feeling, you are sending out a powerful signal to the universe saying, "This is who I am. This is what I experience." And the universe, being the faithful mirror that it is, must reflect that signal back to you in the form of corresponding experiences. But remember, this is not about forcing yourself to feel positive emotions when you're truly feeling down. That would be just another form of resistance, another way of choosing what's not choosing you. Instead, it's about cultivating a genuine sense of having already received your desire. It's about aligning your emotional state with the reality you wish to experience. This may take practice. You may need to return to this feeling state again and again, especially when your outer circumstances seem to contradict it. But with persistence, you will find that it becomes easier and more natural to dwell in this state of fulfilled desire. Now, let us address another important point. Some of you may be wondering, but what if I'm not sure what I truly desire? How can I choose what's choosing me if I don't know what that is? This is a profound question, and it brings us to a deeper understanding of the nature of desire itself. You see, your true desires, the ones that are truly choosing you, do not originate in your human mind. They are not the product of social conditioning or external expectations. They come from a much deeper place, from what I call your divine self or your God self. This divine self knows your true purpose, your highest path. It is constantly communicating with you, sending you impulses in the form of desires. But often these pure desires get clouded by the noise of the world, by our fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs. So how do you discern your true desires, the ones that are truly choosing you? The key lies in paying attention to your feelings. When you think about a particular desire, does it fill you with excitement and enthusiasm? Does it feel expansive, as if it's opening up new possibilities for you? Or does it feel constricting, as if you're trying to force yourself into a mold that doesn't fit? Your true desires, the ones that are choosing you, will always feel expansive. They will energize you, inspire you, make you feel more alive. Even if they seem challenging or even impossible from your current standpoint, they will still feel right on a deep level. On the other hand, desires that are not truly choosing you often feel heavy. They may be accompanied by a sense of should or must. They may be driven by a need to prove something to others or to live up to some external standard. I urge you, my dear friends, to pay close attention to these inner signals. They are your divine self communicating with you, guiding you towards your highest good. When you align yourself with these true desires, when you choose what's truly choosing you, you tap into a power far greater than your individual self. You become a channel for the creative power of the universe itself. Let me share with you another personal experience that illustrates this point. Many years ago, I felt a strong desire to share these teachings with the world. At first, my human mind resisted. It told me that I wasn't qualified, that no one would listen to me, that I should stick to a conventional career path. But the desire persisted. Every time I thought about sharing these ideas, I felt a sense of excitement and expansiveness. It energized me in a way that nothing else did. And so, despite my doubts and fears, I chose to align myself with this desire. I chose what was choosing me. The path wasn't always easy. There were challenges and setbacks along the way. But because I was aligned with my true desire, with what was truly choosing me, I found the strength and inspiration to persevere. And as I continued to choose this path, to live from the state of being a teacher and sharer of these truths, the outer world began to conform to this inner conviction. Opportunities to speak and teach began to arise. People were drawn to my lectures, resonating with the ideas I shared. Books flowed from my pen with an ease I had never experienced before. All this happened not because I struggled and strained, but because I had aligned myself with what was truly choosing me. This, my dear friends, is the power that is available to each and every one of you. When you stop choosing what's not choosing you and start aligning with your true desires, with what's truly choosing you, you tap into a flow of infinite possibility. You become a co-creator with the universe itself. Now I want to address a concern that often arises when people begin to apply these principles. Some worry that by focusing on their own desires, by choosing what's choosing them, they might be acting selfishly or neglecting their responsibilities to others. But I assure you, nothing could be further from the truth. When you align yourself with your true desires, with what's truly choosing you, you are not acting from a place of selfishness. You are allowing the divine self within you to express itself fully in the world. And this divine self, being one with the source of all creation, naturally acts for the highest good of all. Think about it this way: when you are living in alignment with your true self, when you are fully expressing your unique gifts and talents, you are in the best possible position to serve others. You are operating from a place of fullness rather than lack, from joy rather than obligation. Moreover, as you begin to manifest your desires, as your life becomes a living expression of what's truly choosing you, you become an inspiration to others. You show them what's possible when one aligns with their true nature. In this way, your personal fulfillment becomes a gift to the world. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Imagine a talented musician who has been working in a job she doesn't enjoy because she believes it's the responsible thing to do. She's providing for her family, but she's unfulfilled and her unique gifts are going unexpressed. Now imagine that this musician decides to align herself with her true desire, with what's truly choosing her. She begins to assume the state of being a successful, fulfilled musician. She feels the joy of creating and performing music. She imagines the impact her music has on others. As she persists in this state, opportunities begin to arise. Her music career takes off. And here's the beautiful part: not only is she now more fulfilled than I, but she's also in a position to provide even better for her family. Moreover, her music is touching the lives of thousands of people, inspiring them, comforting them, bringing beauty into their lives. This is what happens when you choose what's choosing you. You not only fulfill yourself, but you also position yourself to make your greatest contribution to the world. Now, my dear friends, as we near the end of our discussion, I want to emphasize a crucial point. The practice of choosing what's choosing you, of living from the state of your wish fulfilled, is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and then sit back and wait for results. It's a way of life, a constant practice of aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality you wish to experience. This requires vigilance. It requires a willingness to constantly monitor your thoughts and feelings, to catch yourself when you slip into old patterns of thinking and choosing what's not choosing you. But I assure you, the effort is worth it. For as you make this practice a habit, as it becomes your natural way of being, you will find that your life transforms in ways you may have never thought possible. You will begin to see the world differently. Where once you saw obstacles, you will now see opportunities. Where once you felt lack, you will now feel abundance. Where once you experienced struggle, you will now experience flow. This is not to say that challenges will never arise. They will. But when you're aligned with what's truly choosing you, when you're living from the state of your wish fulfilled, you will face these challenges from a place of power and possibility rather than fear and limitation. Remember, my dear friends, you are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are that power individualized. When you truly understand and embody this truth, when you consistently choose what's choosing you, you step into your true power as a divine being having a human experience. So I urge you, starting from this very moment, to be vigilant in your thoughts and feelings. Catch yourself when you find yourself focusing on what you don't want, on what's not working, on what's not choosing you. Gently but firmly redirect your attention to what you do want, to the state you wish to embody, to what's truly choosing you. Feel the reality of your desire fulfilled. Live from that state. Let it inform your thoughts, your words, your actions. Do this consistently, persistently, and watch as your world begins to transform. And remember, this practice is not about forcing change through willpower or struggle. It's about allowing your true self to express itself fully in the world. It's about aligning yourself with the flow of life rather than struggling against it. As you leave here today, I want you to carry with you this fundamental truth. You are the operant power in your life. Your consciousness, your imagination, is the creative force through which you shape your reality. By choosing what's truly choosing you, by living from the state of your wish fulfilled, you activate this creative power in the most potent way possible. So go forth, my dear friends, and choose wisely. Choose what's choosing you. Live from the end. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and watch as the miracle of life unfolds before you in ways more wonderful than you could have ever imagined. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It is not a place you go to, but a state you choose to embody. By choosing what's choosing you, you are claiming your rightful place in this kingdom. You are stepping into your power as a divine creator. And so, my beloved friends, I leave you with this final thought. The world is waiting for you to be you, fully and completely. It is waiting for you to choose what's choosing you, to align with your true desires, to express your divine nature. When you do this, you not only transform your own life, but you contribute to the transformation of the entire world. For each time one of us aligns with our true self, with what's truly choosing us, we raise the vibration of the entire planet. We make it easier for others to do the same. In this way, by choosing what's choosing you, you become a beacon of light in the world, illuminating the path for others to follow. So go now and choose wisely. Choose what's choosing you. Live from the end. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and watch as miracles unfold in your life and in the world around you. Thank you, and may you be blessed on your journey of self-discovery and manifestation.